talking about the TBS-21A iced tea brewer. So can we talk about how do you brew iced tea? Because believe it or not, when we're at a trade show, that's one of the very commonly asked questions is, how do we brew tea? Does the ice go in the dispenser? Those types of things.
Okay, well first off, let's just break down how our tea brewer works. The tea brewer is set up into two separate segments, the extraction and then the dilution. So the extraction is programmable. You get to decide what percentage of the water that you want to go over your tea in order to extract your concentrate. And then the computer inside the brewer automatically calculates what the rest of that amount should be, the dilution amount should be. So it does that automatically for you. It's not having to do any kind of calculations yourself. You just tell it what you want and it does the rest, because it has a flow meter inside that actually measures the water quantities. The next thing is, when you set it up, you're going to set your tea up inside the brew basket with a filter, and then you're going to put the dispenser in place. No ice is necessary in this because the ice is just going to melt under that hot extract.
Right.
And then the tea is going to dilute, and that tea or the dilution water is going to come in and it's going to further melt the ice. If it hasn't completely melted, it's going to melt it even more. Plus, on top of that, now you're going to overpot because now the melted ice is contributing to your total volume. So you're just going to brew without the ice. You add the ice to your cup, and then you draw the tea out of the dispenser into the cup.
So when you talk about dilution, you can add dilution during the brew cycle, or you can add the dilution after the brew cycle.
Correct.
So when you add it during the brew cycle, at what point does that come in?
Well, that's a really good question, and this is one of the reasons that we have a flow meter inside the unit. What it winds up doing is the percentage, you have to set a pulse rate on the unit. So when you're doing a dilution during the brew. So the brewer will pulse on one time, and then in between pulses, then the dilution comes through. So the flow meter is measuring how much extraction water goes through, and then how much of the dilution water goes through. So it does that throughout the entire process. And then at the very end, whatever is left over of that dilution water, it just doses the rest of that dilution water.
And so when we're talking about dilution water, is that hot water that's being entered in? That's
actually cold tap water. So it's whatever the temperature of the water is coming into the unit, which you would always want to hook up cold water to an iced tea brewer. And the other thing is, with regard to the brewing or having the dilution after the brew cycle, is we actually have a dilution delay, and you get to decide how long that's going to be. And you can decide from, I believe it's down to 1 minute, all the way up to 18 minutes, so it gives you a lot of flexibility. You probably would never go that long, but there's a lot of flexibility.
You talked about the different parameters that are able to be programmed in this. How do you get into programming? Because this is slightly different than our other extractors.
Yeah, unfortunately on this particular unit, in order to get into programming, you actually have to pull the dispenser away.
Okay.
And you have to pull this panel off. And once you get the panel off, there's a programming or control board right on the other side. And all you have to do is push in on the set button, and there's two up and down buttons that allow you to make your adjustments in programming. It's a real simple process, and the user's guide actually will carry you through that.
Please visit our resource center. We have an Ask the Expert video that answers a customer question, can I brew coffee on a TBS-21A? And Shane explains all of the processes and how to brew on a TBS-21A brewer. So let's talk about this dispenser. We've pulled it out here, but normally this goes under here, and you see the dilution tube is right here.
So the dilution tube actually goes into the cover, and so it pokes right through here when you line up the dispenser. The purpose of that, and the reason why the iced tea dispenser is round, is because the pressure from the water coming in actually creates a vortex inside, so it stirs your tea for you, so that when you're done with the tea, it's a perfect balance inside the dispenser. And the next thing is, there's actually, you probably see in front here, there's a clear window display in the front, and this clear window is actually the liner inside. So you don't have to buy a separate liner or anything in order to bring yourself up to NSF code. This liner, when you take the top off here, this liner actually pulls out. Swing the handle back. Liner actually pulls out. The faucet comes off completely, just like that, and you can actually put this into the dishwasher because it's dishwasher safe and NSF approved. It's the only iced tea dispenser on the market that is.